Okay, welcome to Taking Action. I'm Chris Colombo. Not with me is Anthony Conover. He's on vacation in Florida. However, I did consult with him. Last night I had what do they call that thing? An aspiration when they stuck a large needle into my hip to see with the fluids in case I had an infection. I only need one operation there, a sinus operation and a thyroid operation, and we're all good. But moving forward, it was bittersweet because in order for there to be an infection, they had to be able to collect fluid, but there was no fluid so for an hour they were sticking a needle in my bone marrow. But however, what I did is I got through it by looking at this week's games. Okay, let's make the recap real short. I agree with you on that. Last week was a pretty good week for us. My pick stood up. Was the New England Patriots getting 2.5. What was their score? I believe the Patriots won 28-23. I had the Buccaneers were home and 2.5 points. I had the Patriots by 3 with my line, so it was a no-brainer. Even though it was only a 5-point victory, it was actually a lot more than that. But they was a give me up at the end. So that was really good for us. Let's recap what else was good. I was actually perfect last week. And I always said the only time I've ever reached perfection was when I was a perfect asshole, so it ain't going to my head. Because who cares about last week? We got to look to this week. But I like the Raiders, Broncos. I like the under. It went under. Falcons, Colts. That was a strange one. I favored the Colts because it opened up 6.5, went to 5.5. So that means they got middled on that game. Because if you took the Falcons plus 6.5, you won. And when it moved to 5.5, you got the Colts minus 5.5 and won. I don't like games that open at 5.5 or 5. It's a dead line. But it moved. I favored the Colts. I liked them. Won. Okay, the controversy was the Browns. 2.5 over the Jets at home. Neither one had a defense. People and wise guys were all over the Jets because they got rid of their superstar defensive players. Browns don't really have much of a defense. Was injuries and other problems, so I just figured they were going to run up and down the field. So the over was a no-brainer. That hit. Okay. What else do we have on here? Okay. And the Patriots, I think there was one more favorite. That's 1, 2, 3. No, that's 4. That was it. That was my picks for last week. We went 4 for 4. It's not going to my head. Whatever. The hell with that. Let's go to this week and see what it says. Now, this week, we have a conundrum. Anthony is in Florida, and I was speaking to him when I was on the operating table. Well, anyway, the anesthesia and the hip and the anesthetize helped the conversation for me. However, with FanDuel and his phone, because Florida it does not have legal gambling, he couldn't put the bets in from there. So he'll be in tonight. Right now, it's Tuesday, 5 o'clock here. But I like a few games, and we're going to go over them, and we'll see what we can do or we can't do. But I don't know which ones I like better. I don't love any of the games. Last week, I loved New England. They're one of the teams I keyed on since last year, which, you know, I took a lot of fire for against the 49ers. I didn't believe they would hurt themselves just to beat them. Backdoor cover was eminent, but they played head and damaged themselves. But I key on a few teams, but what's most important, like I told you, make your own line. If you look this week, the only line that was even relatively close was the Colts-Falcons, and they ended up getting middled on that game. It doesn't happen, but I don't think that was a big betting game, but it did move a point. That means people were taking the 6.5 till it dropped. And those that laid it, they got middled. That means they had no shot to win. Now, one of the things in handicapping is when you have a line, that line is supposed to make that team even, like when you play golf or you get pins in bowling. So I don't know what a 0.5 point is. So it's a flawed system. But that 0.5 point we used to call the hook, and I was an expert at putting it on. And there's nothing worse and no worse feeling to lose by the hook. Matter of fact, that's when I freaked out in Italy. I was in pain. I wanted to put, when we went with the Seahawks, it was 3. Anthony thought, I didn't exactly say to put it in, but we ended up laying 3.5. That's how I was going to combine buy back double hit on the Dallas, which I liked. But it didn't happen. So this week's game will go in early Wednesday morning, very, very late tonight. And it's a good thing, too, because I haven't made up my mind. Let's go into this week's games. Thursday's game is the Jets over the Patriots at home. Patriots opened 10.5, moved to 11.5. That's a decision game. Then went to 12.5. Total drop from 46 to 43.5. They're expecting the Jets not to score at all. And the Patriots certainly do have a hell of a better defense than the Browns. Matter of fact, I would have to say this year, I had said it early, but a lot of other people have said it, but I was keying on them last season to be a very good team this year as the Patriots. And I think they're one of the strongest teams in the league right now, but I don't lay 12.5 points with anybody. And historically, the Jets and the Patriots over the last 5 or 6 seasons have only had maybe 1 or 2 games that the points weren't 3 or less. So if that helps you, I'm not betting it. I'm not booking it. Commanders, Dolphins. This game is in Berlin. Dolphins went from pick'em to 45.5 to 47.5. I have no idea what to do there. Okay, the Packers. 7 went to 8.5 over the Giants. Packers didn't show me a hell of a lot Monday night. I don't think they have a hell of a lot to show. It's a sin the team has personnel, but I tell you one thing that I did see. I've watched Monday's game. That's Monday night game is the only night game I do watch, because the other games I watch after they're over. I don't like to be a fan, and I just do it for analytical reasons and to go in and watch like a coach watches films. But I watched that game because I made a decision, because one of the teams I do like this week are the Eagles, but I don't know if I'm betting them. That's my conundrum for this week. But I saw something in the Packers I didn't like, which is indicative. They had a lot of trouble stopping the Eagles were running back. And to go and trip him, Michael Parsons tried to trip him. And I didn't like seeing that. And he's one of the highest players paid on defense, and one of the premier and touted to be one of the best defensive players in the league. And to stick your leg out just to stop Keyshawn, I thought it was ridiculous. Because if he hurts himself, that's an awkward position. Or if he would take a guy's career, I mean, everybody knows the game of football, you could get hurt. And if you get trucked or you got hit hard and it's a legal hit, I guess it comes with the territory. But to stick your leg out to try to trip a player, if it would have been a career-ending or a season-ending game, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. All right? So the Packers, 7, 8.5 over the Giants. I don't believe the Packers, that's a 1 o'clock game, are 8.5 over anybody. However, the Giants do have a pretty fearsome front four. But they're still the Giants. I stay away from them, but 8.5 is a lot of points, home team underdog. Buccaneers, Bills. Bills opened to 6, dropped to 5.5. Total opened 50.5, went to 49.5. Bills could use a win. You know, they're at home. Josh Allen, a.k.a. I call him Steve Allen, showing my age. I don't know. 5.5 points is a lot, especially with these field goals. But I do favor the Bills. Okay, Bengals, Steelers. Steelers open 6.5, dropped to 5.5. Open 50, went to 49.5. That's another division game. They play each other tough. Steelers really haven't shown me much either. I like Joe Flacco. I've always liked Joe Flacco. I like the 5.5 with the Bengals in a division game, even at Steelers, because I allow 3 points for home teams, so that makes that 8.5 points in my head. So I favor the Bengals. I keep saying favor because the games I'm giving you, I don't know who I'm going to bet yet. That's my conundrum. Another division game, you got the Texans, 7.5, dropped to 7 over the Titans. Total's 38.5. They're not expecting much scoring. I don't like to go against home team underdogs. Texans came back, and it's the better teams that come from behind to win, but they've always hurt me when I bet. I use them to bet with them or against them. So I like home team underdogs, especially when it's 7 points or more. But it's not one of my bets or one of my picks. It's just my evaluation. Bears, Vikings. Vikings went from 2.5 to 3. That's a division game. Went from 47 to 48.5. I like the Vikings, but I don't know if that's who I'm betting this week yet. It's one of my considerations. Panthers, Falcons, another division game. Falcons, 3.5, state division, 3.5. Went from 44.5 to 42.5. The total is dropping. I don't know why. I wasn't much on totals, even though we hit 2 last week. But there was different reasons that I like the totals, and I gave them to you for what they were. Uh, I don't know. That's a tough one. I don't know if 3.5 is enough. The Panthers, when they can't do turn it on. I had wanted to put them with my, when I didn't have a pick after I lose a week. I like to take a week off. So when you hear me blame Anthony, I make him do it, but I'm going to be more transparent and tell you whose pick there was. Last week, New England was all me. Okay. Chargers -1 went to 2.5 over the Jaguars. I don't like to go against home team underdog. Jaguars made a good showing, but I think the Chargers are a really tough team. Okay. Let's go to the Seahawks. Started, I believe, it's the 4:00 games. Seahawks are at Rams. Went from 2.5 to 3, 47.5 to 48.5. They're expecting scoring. Stafford and company is a good team. Rams are a good team. But right now, if you had to ask me, the Seahawks and the New England Patriots, I think, are the powerhouses, and the young teams are coming up that are deep and they're good. I am considering bettering the Seahawks. It's a division game. 49ers are still in. Home field advantage is on the line. Seahawks are 2-1 in their division. Rams are 1-1. They beat the 49ers. 49ers beat them. And I favored the Seahawks. I like the Seahawks in that game at 3. That's a consideration of one of my picks. So is the Bengals. And there's one more that I like that I will tell you what it is. I don't know what my pick is going to be. Okay. More 4:00 games. 49ers at Cardinals. 49ers open -1, went to -3. Total for 47, 48. I don't have an opinion. 49ers are still in the hunt. Matter of fact, that division, if the Cardinals do better, you could have 4 teams in the playoffs. But home field advantage is at stake. I don't know if the 49ers could catch. They lost both to the Seahawks and the Rams. That's why I'm favoring the Seahawks, but don't count the 49ers out. Okay. Another division game. Ravens at Browns. Browns opened 7.5, went to 8.5. 41.5 is the total. I don't lay 8.5. I don't like to go against home team underdog. If I was going to take a shot at it, but I'll tell you one thing. It might not be a bad week for a 2 or 3 team teaser. You know, you got the Patriots in there. I don't think they're going to have a problem beating the Jets. I just don't think they're going to kill themselves or risk any injuries. The Jets ain't that important, but it is a division game, and they are pretty well ahead in their division. Okay, last of the 4:00 games. So the Chiefs opened up at 2.5, -3.5 at the Broncos. 44.5 dropped to 44 was the total. It's the last 4 p.m. game. I favored the Broncos plus 3.5 in that game. Home team underdog. Like I said, I allow for 3 points for home team. I don't think the Chiefs are 6.5 points over the Broncos. I don't anticipate it to be a very high-scoring game, but I don't know. It's possible. But the Broncos have a very good defense, and when they come to play, they're a very good quarterback. So I like, and I don't know who I'm betting this week. I gave you 3 teams that I seriously are considering for my main pick. And there's even another one. When you go into the Sunday night game, we got the Lions at Eagles. Eagles opened up 1, went to 1.5, went to 2.5. I like the Eagles in that game at home, but I love them at 1. I like them at 1.5. 2.5, and that hook scares me, but it's one of the games I'm still considering. And let's see where the lines in these games go between now and when Anthony lands. So one of my main pick for the juice reel is going to be one of those 4 teams, and I do like them. Going into the the Monday night game, you got the Cowboys -3.5 at the Raiders, went to 3, total 50.5. Raiders always made a good showing on Monday night. Home team underdog, but who knows? That's a nationally televised game. So there you have it. Who I like for this week, and there are a few. I like the Seahawks and Rams, without a doubt. I like the Bengals taking points at Steelers, without a doubt. I like the Broncos, and I like the Eagles. One of my picks will probably be one of that 4. I don't know what it is yet. I like to be more transparent. I think we all had a decent week betting this week. A lot of people got trapped with that Jets-Browns game. I favored the total. In my experience, I've seen that happen before, but there's no defense, and defensive players have gotten hurt. And I thought, even though there were points involved, it's who would just keep running up and down the field. One time ran out, and that's exactly what happened when the Jets ran back a punt return or a kickoff. I'm not sure what it was. I just watched the highlights of it. It was actually 38.5 when I broadcasted it. I remember I broadcast on Tuesday after editing and special effects and all that nonsense. You don't get the thing till Thursday. So that was one of the reasons for the juice reel. If you think the juice reel is about $25, we only get 30% of it, and we invest it back in the show. If our money's going to be made, it's going to be made on gambling, so that's where I like to win. Saquon was the one that he went to trip. I said Keyshawn. I'm a little delirious. They shot me up with anesthetic, and they just recently got off an operating table to see if I needed 2 surgeries. I need 1. And for my hips, after that, I need a sinus surgery, so I'll go from the mucus monster to cookie monster. I like cookies. Moving forward, I think this should be an interesting week of football. Remember, bad teams get better. People start playing for their jobs. The trading deadline helps teams for the following year, but you never know who's in reserve or who's stepping up. Another reason for the run back of that Jet game is you start going into your special teams guys who play special teams are hoping for a position. So the Browns might have got thin on special teams, or it might have ignited, one of the special teams guys that was blocking because he now sees his opportunity to play. So the Jets, the guys they traded, were very, very good players. They were superstars, but they did have a value to the team because they're going to get draft picks for them. And, I think they do have the right to move on to greener pastures because the Jets is going to be a rebuilding team. We've heard it before. I thought they had a good shot, but Aaron Rodgers got hurt the first game of the season. That was my pick 2 seasons ago. And it was sad because that defense was one of the best I've seen, and they kept them in the game. Okay, this is the end of week 11. I'm wishing you a lot of good luck. There's a lot of people. I like when you put your picks up. I like to see what you think. I know what I know. But, it broadens my horizons and makes me think about things that I don't think about. When you put yours up, I key on certain teams. From the beginning of the year, I follow them, and I look for things. And 2 of the teams that I keyed on that were very successful for us was Seattle early and New England. So when I'm considering Seattle against the Rams, I know the Rams are a very, very good team, but I don't think they're 2.5 points over the Seahawks. I got to tell you, the 2 best teams I think in the league right now, and I may come under fire for saying it, are the New England Patriots and the Seattle Seahawks. I think they're young, I think they're deep, and I think they play smart football. And I think the Vikings' big loss to the Seahawks with Donald was really ridiculous. The guy won, I think, 16 games for them, and they trade him. McCarthy's no joke, but he hasn't developed yet. Okay, it's week 11. Anthony will be back with me next week, and I can blame him for everything. Okay, have a great week. I wish you a lot of luck. And do me a favor, please, at some point in the thing, I'd like to have a live interactive where I go live and I will answer any questions you may have, either, emailing it on the computer, or some of the guys that have put their things, and I give them a lot of credit. I don't listen to people that are Monday morning quarterbacks. There's a few guys there, and one of them is Paulson, and another fellow that's been with us for a while. They have the intestinal fortitude to put their games up before they go, state their opinion, and when they do say something to me, I pay attention because they have the balls to put the games up. Monday morning quarterbacks, I don't pay attention to. We're getting in the rhythm. Let's see if we can't keep it. I told you I like 4 games this week, and I'm sticking to it. We'll go over it really quickly again. I like the points with the Bengals. I like the points with the Seahawks. I like the points with the Broncos. And I'm a little scared of the hook on the Eagle game because if you saw the way they played, I think the Eagles are a force. I think they're going to be back. I think they're going to have their problems with some of the younger teams, but let's see what happens. Hard to make a repeat Super Bowl. There's some strong teams. The Lions are definitely a good team, but I'm favoring the Eagles in that game. I'm just 1 to 2.5. I don't like the hook there. Hooks bother me. Like I say, handicap, it's supposed to even it out. How do you be even with a half? Doesn't make any sense. Okay, good luck. Always, I wish you to win. Keep the comments coming. Put the people you like up because I learn from everybody. And more the heads, the better. Okay. I'll see you next week.